All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here today. Introduce myself. My name is Nick Thompson. I lead product marketing at Tacton. Thank you all for coming to this event here today. We have a great lineup of keynote speakers, including speakers from Atlas Copco, Intershop, myself, nVent, and Pelco. But let's go ahead and get started today with Bo Gleidenbang, who's our CEO here at Tacton, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what he's been up to in his first few months here at Tacton.
Thanks a lot, Nick. I don't want to have you pronounce my last name again because that didn't go very well. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining our summit here. We have a record number of participants, and we got customers start dialing in from all three major regions, the US, here in Europe, and also our APAC region. So thank you very much for everyone to take some time out of your very busy day and spend that with us. We really appreciate it. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Bo Gyldenvang. Gyldenvang, that's the right way to say it in Danish. I'm Danish citizen. I'm living here in Stockholm, and I've just joined Tacton here almost 90 days ago as a CEO. So 90 days almost done, and honeymoon for my startup is almost over. And how do you decide to spend your first 90 days in a new company, a very exciting company as Tacton? What I've spent a lot of my time on, what I've enjoyed the most, to be honest, is actually meeting with our customers. Because I'm new to Tacton. I worked with this industry before, but what I want to learn, what I want to know more about is about your challenges. I want to understand what keeps you up at night. And I really want to understand how Tacton can serve you better. That's what I've spent a lot of time on in my first 90 days. But let me just see how I move to the next slide here. Sorry for this. Do I have control? Ralph and Nick, can you maybe move slides for me? There we are. Is it me or is it you?
It's me.
Okay, so just please build up the slide here. So because of what I want to spend a little bit of time on is actually why we're here. Why have we arranged this summit? And what do we want to talk about? What do we want to share with everyone here? We are, to be fair, we are living in uncertain economic times right now. Things have become more challenging for all of us, and that's as well personally as professionally. Everything has been completely disrupted and changed for the foreseeable future. Now, more than ever, I would say leaders in this industry, and that goes for a lot of industries, but especially this one, have to think different. We must think disruptively, and we must think about how we can adapt the conditions as they are right now. But I would say it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us, for all of us, to use your digital transformation as an opportunity to become much more customer-centric. And how can we do that? Because there are so many variables. And that's actually why we're here, because there is an answer to that. And the answer is here on this next slide. Thank you. It's simply getting closer to your customers, getting closer to our customers. Every one of you that I've met over the last 90 days, and I've met as many as I could, has been difficult when you can't travel. But I've had a lot of Zoom, Teams calls with as many of you as possible. And what they've all told me is that this is all about getting closer to their customers. And I would say traditionally, for people in this room, on this industry, that has been a challenge. That's also some of my experience before I joined Tacton. The selling and the buying process for products has been very manual, and there's been multiple parties involved in that process. There's been a lot of direct selling, there's been partner selling, digital selling, there's some third-party after sales. Ultimately, what this means is sometimes is that we are getting too disconnected from our customers. And that's something we got to look into, how we can do that differently. I believe as a business leader, and I know many of you are business leaders as well, I believe we must always be focused on how we are getting closer to our customers. And that means, how can we understand our customers better? When we understand that, it's easier for us to find out how we can support them better and how we can help our customers to solve their problems. And end of the day, what we want to do, we want to make our customers successful. That's what I believe we got to focus on as business leaders here. So that's it. Just please go to the correct. Yeah, we're on the right slide here. As I said, I spent a lot of time with many of you so far, and I learned a few important things myself, actually. And what I've learned is that manufacturing is a very exciting space to be in, especially now. The entire industry is going through a digital transformation. And I would say in these uncertain times, we are learning maybe a little bit the hard way how important it is to serve our customers. Our customers are focused on their customers and their buying experiences. Digitalization is required to remain relevant to our customers and deliver on customer experience. Leaders in this industry are focused on creating a disruptive experience, focused around removing complexity to buy. So this is actually why we have decided to host this summit about this topic. We want to give our customers a platform to share how they are thinking about their customer journey or their customer's journey. We want to let our customers, as you see them lined up here, we want to have them share their stories, their experiences, and how they approach customer centricity. But at the end of the day, don't just take it from me. And that's exactly why I'm really proud of having this lineup of speakers here, because you're going to get it from our customers. We got speakers, as you see, from Atlas Copco, nVent, Pelco, Intershop, and we got our own VP of Marketing, Nick Thompson. So now I'm paying a little bit back on the last name there, Nick, to share their experiences with you. And again, I just want to say welcome to everyone. I want to thank you again for joining us. And over to you, Nick. Let's have a good day.
I'm glad you got to pay me back on the name, Bo. It's Thompson, but we'll work on these together. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Leonard Remnebeck of Atlas Copco, and he's going to give us an introduction to how Atlas Copco looks at their customer and their journey and how they approach it. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The first challenge is to take over the control of the slides, I guess. So let's work that out first.
Sure. I think that's going to be the challenge of the day, maybe.
So, okay, my name is Lennart Remnebeck, Vice President Tool Attachment, and I'm happy to be here today to share our story of understand the need and deliver with speed, a journey with standardization and digitalization. And now I'm waiting for the slide. Thank you. So, click there. So what I will talk to you about today is to give an introduction to our company and our customers' application, the challenges our customers have, and how we fit into that and solving their problems. How we have been working with taking out the complexity in the quote process for complex sales. And also how we have integrated the Tacton Configurator in our customer journey and how we have implemented it for different assortment. And then I will go into depth into a project that we've been running with a specific product assortment, Salto sockets and bits, where we have standardized and digitalized different steps in our journey. No, I'm trying to get rid of the small square that actually is blocking my slide. But anyway, I have it here. So, well, I joined Atlas Copco in 1999 after serving ABB 11 years. I moved back to Sweden from spending 7 years in Germany. And then talking to friends, they said, "Oh, you joined Atlas Copco. So what about the separators?" I said, "That's the wrong company." So let me share a little bit what is Atlas Copco. So Atlas Copco is a 147 years old global and industrial company. I would say young at heart, but with a highly innovative spirit. It's present in 182 countries, in 182 countries, about 39,000 employees, 71 countries, and the turnover is around 10 billion euro, and operating margins a little bit above 20. Atlas Copco is a decentralized group and is organized into different business areas. So there are 4 business areas: compressor technique, vacuum technique, industrial technique, where I belong to, and the power technique. Within the different business areas, you will find divisions. So I belong to the motor vehicle MVI tools and assembly system division. And the division is the highest operating unit within Atlas Copco, responsible for the P&L, for the objective strategies and structure, and also conduct the business through customer centers. That's the sales companies clustered to a customer center and product company. And I will elaborate a little bit on that here today. We are truly global, so our customers are all around the globe, and also with a footprint. So we have several product companies and also customer centers and distribution centers. We are headquartered out of Stockholm. I'm in the building right now to get the right network. And Atlas, I would say industrial technique is 20% of your scene. So this is what I'm going to represent today, talking about our customers and how we have implemented the Tacton configurator to enable our journey. So here you can see at customer site, we have both, say, visiting customers. This would be visiting customers for us. This could be not looking at the car. It could have been Torslanda in Göteborg. It could have been Dingolfing BMW in Germany, or Fremont Tesla in the United States, or the Tesla plant in China. So it's truly global. And you can see here that with Industry 4.0, it goes very much of Internet to Things, to have reporting, that we actually have products that connect to each other, connect to the customers. We talk about Wi-Fi 6, we talk about 5G, and someone is going to sell this and it's going to end up in the right way. So did you know that every third car is actually assembled with tools or equipment from us? I circle, you see the small circle, because that's I'm going to describe a little bit more. If you look at me right now, I'm holding it up. It's a small socket that actually connects the tool to the application. So there you can see where it fits in, and it needs to fit. Did you know that in a passenger jet, there's several million of fasteners? Did you know that on the smartphones that you have in your pocket, on the desk, in your purse, is actually assembled about 70 screws, and they need to be fitted well together, and it's also an application for us. You know a lot of talk about and the whole, say, transformation and the trend to go away from fossil engines, to go away from petrol or gas engine, diesel, towards electrical driven cars. That means that you have to assemble batteries, and it's different prerequisites. So you can see the operators. What actually to the down, you can actually see what we actually offer into this customer segment. But maybe more interesting is to see actually a car, electrical car. And what you see in front of you is the Volvo XC40 full electric, assembled in Belgium, in Ghent. And we are very happy to provide the equipment to do that job. And with the operator you see here, COVID-19 with a mask, is assembling a battery pack. And the solution we have here is an isolated socket that needs to fit, avoiding him to get a current and a voltage into the body that can cause severe injuries or even death. And in the middle, you can see actually all the batteries with electrical motor, and then actually the marriage point where the body is married, and you have the car to the right. Nice white car. So this is a challenge for our salespeople. So look here, this could be our product offer. So today we're offering our customers smart connected assembly powered by data. And that means that our sales representative, our salespeople, they need to be able to sell hardware, software, services, and accessories, and it all need to fit together. And don't forget anything. That is a challenge for sure. What we did 2 years ago, we said that, well, with the sales transformation, bringing more value to our customers, our products that we offer and would like to sell to our customers become a little bit more complicated and more complex. So we say the sales transformation increases the complexity in the quote process. So what we said then, okay, today you need to have very high know-how, and also the sales efforts is quite high compared in the old days. So then we started a proof of concept with the Tacton configurator. In Q2 we got the approval, and then we started the project during the autumn of 2018. And what we have done since then, the proof of concept actually went well. What we there identified is that we have 4 different areas where we say the digital transformation with the product configuration is enabling us and also increasing the speed in our processes. So here we would like to connect the sales companies that you remember they're kind of on very global, to product companies, and we have different product companies, and we would like to connect this into an unbroken digital chain. And if we look at our product assortment, if we have modularized product, I just happens to have one here. This is a tool you hold in your hand and you do assembling. There's a lot of different variants that you can combine. And in order to be able to offer that to our customers, then we actually are using CPQ, and that is enabling the variant to be created dynamically based on the need of the customer. So it's a little bit about make standard, sell special. If we look at the green, the solution selling, that's more to when you're going to sell the service and etc. There you can see that product package a solution that requires really the salesperson, as I said, to combine it. It needs to fit, and don't forget anything. And it's also enabling guided sales. So for the correct solution, that you can have cross-selling, upselling. So don't forget about the service. Don't forget about the socket. And also, if you're a junior salesperson and coming into this complex, actually you can get up to speed much faster. And also, it takes away the administrative time, you could say, from the salespeople that they could spend talking to the customer, looking at solution, and bringing more value. If we look at the yellow one with the socket, it's like how to find the needle in the haystack. So finding a socket out of 4,000 variants, how to find the correct one. So here we use the filtering function, and if you find it, the right, it fits, yeah, then we can deliver it. Or to the far right, if you don't have it, and I will show you later or more into depth, how we actually using design automation. So with the CPQ enabling sales to generate the 3D dimensional CAD step files and the drawing. And this is also a prerequisite to take it to the production. And I will show you that as well. So what have we now accomplished since we did the POC, and we ended that end of 2018, and then let's start with these projects 2019. So what we have done now is that we have implemented for 5 initial configuration models, and that has been developed. And here you see a picture of them. And from an integration point of view, me being a salesperson, going to Volvo Torslanda or to Fremont Tesla, I work in our CRM system, and our CRM system is Cloud for Customer. We have then seamlessly integrated that with the Tacton, using Asia as an integration platform. So now me having a need of a configured product, I click on the CPQ button and whoa, I'm into the Tacton. Then we have connected Tacton with Windchill, our product data management PDL system, where we have all our master data. We have also connected it to our CAD system, that in this case is Creo. So these integrations we have done. We have also hired a responsible person for the system, the CPQ responsible, product owner, and also a modeler sitting with R&D, sitting close to where we actually design the products, creating this model that we can feed into the Tacton system. So what are the next steps here? Well, for the governance, we would like to increase the usage and measure success. We will also like to scale it. So it's very important that we find ways to have a sustainable maintenance of the data and rules. Also, the sales companies, you might have local adaptations. So how can we support you having also local adaptations that are very important for our customers? And also to make the internal process creating the configuration models efficient. So we don't end up with a very, let's say, complicated architecture that need a lot of people to maintain. It's complicated. So we need to think there. And then, of course, we have planned configuration model for 2021, and that's internal. So here is an example. This is called, in our language, an SD bench. And what this really is, it's a brake. So if you look at me, this is the tool, and I put that tool on that brake, and then I start this tool, and then we actually measure that this tool is really doing the work we tell our customers. So we calibrate it here. So we check actually our products here. And it's a lot of variance. I mean, I had that tool now. You could have different tools. So which brake should I put into that one? What type of interface should I have? What language should I have? Should it be in Mandarin? Should it be in German language, etc.? So it's a quite complex configuration. And this product company is located in Milan, in Italy. And as I said, the sales companies is they're all over the world. So before we did the implementation, it took 4 days to give a quote to our customers. 4 days. I end up in the beginning of the week, and it took the whole week to make the quote. It was a lot of, you could say, ping pong information between Italy and the country where we're offering it. And the effective time actually to do the quote was 2.5 hours. So what is the result? Well, we moved to the non-complex area, reposition it, you could say. So today we can quote in a day, and it takes 50 minutes, the effective time. And that means, of course, that we can do more quotes. I'm as a salesperson, I would be confident to quote this product. I mean, a salesperson that knows that that's going to be a headache, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go for something else. So we think this is a great success. Another example here is geared front attachment. That means, I'm back. If this doesn't fit, let's see how it's going to. This doesn't fit really. You need something else in the front so you actually can access the nut and tighten it. In this case, we have done specification, module specification. We have defined the interfaces and also the marketing rules. So that's all in PDM. Now, me being the salesperson, I'm then at the customer, and then I see that to the far right, it's called a tube nut, typically for brake application. When you hit the brake pedal in your car, it's good if the car stops, right? So it's a very critical application. So in this case, the salesperson is a guided sales. Okay, you need that one. Okay, then we give you this attachment. Okay, what type of tool? And you click you through. And that's resulting in the bill of material. And then we actually create the product for the first time. Maybe for some of you, this is no news, but for us, this is good news, a new news. So we actually, at the point of quoting, we create the variant automatically in our PLM system. And that includes the product specific classification. And we also create the article number, the product number, and then we send it back to CPQ. And then I bring that with me back to Cloud for Customers. And then I can add other products and actually deliver the quote to our customers. So now I'm going to give you a little bit more in depth a project that we have been running and we still do, and what we have done. So a little bit about the story. In 2013, the Atlas Copco Group acquired the German company Saltus, more than 100 years old, located in Solingen in Germany. We came to the decision in 2017 to discontinue the footprint and the operation in Germany and to move the special production of the Saltus sockets and bits to Tierp in Sweden, north of Uppsala. And we started the first production in Tierp beginning of 2018. And you know, all the drawings, I mean, they were very old. And looking at the master data, very poor. And nothing wrong with German language. I mean, I lived in Germany for 7 years, but it's not easy for everyone. So it was not in Swedish or English that we are more common to at the plant. So we had to do something. And also, this is machining, and it's not so much assembly, it's more machining. This is a true make-to-order production. And that was kind of also new to us. So in order for you to understand the product and the challenges and where it fits into our customer's application, I will ask you now, Ralf, in Karlsruhe, to start the movie.
Sometimes great things start out with something really small. On any given day, 300,000 passenger cars leave a factory somewhere and are shipped all over the world. Every one of them has been put together with a large number of bolts fastened by either a socket or a bit. High productivity is key in this industry, but equally important is quality and safety. And this is why manufacturers need to team up with a partner who can deliver it all. Atlas Copco offers a wide range of standard Saltus sockets and bits, ready to be delivered from stock. Our competence center receives customer requests from all over the world. They identify your needs and provide you with an optimal solution in no time. Your special request is placed in the hands of a skilled designer in our factory in Tierp, Sweden, making sure that you can easily order custom-designed solutions to fit your production. Regardless if you are looking for a handheld solution or one that fits in a multi-spindle for an efficient simultaneous tightening, we make to order. Keeping the whole process in Tierp means we can maintain total control of quality. From initial design through manufacturing all the way through hardening and quality validation. The sockets and bits are laser marked right before they are shipped, making it easy for you to identify and reorder. Our entire team meets up on a regular basis to synchronize all activities. And our designers and engineers keep innovating, making sure that our solutions are in pole position and that we continue to lead the way in the industry. With safety first in mind, we designed the Rotaction solution, which improves the operator's safety significantly. This innovative sleeve stays perfectly still on the outside, while the socket inside rotates. And the industry is already converting. With the Saltus range of sockets and bits, Atlas Copco is your reliable partner, meeting your socket demands and Rotaction needs. Sustainable Productivity by Atlas Copco.
So let's see, we're back. So I hope that gave you somewhat of a view of the customer application, but also the challenge. You saw there were a lot of variants. So for us, you know, we kind of sat down and figuring out, we came to this picture. Oh, how are we going to actually manage this? I mean, it's specials and it has to be efficient, and we really need to rethink the way we're doing things here. So what we did is that we started a project. So we call it talk it just in time with a vision, understand the need. I mean, what is the need for your customer and how to deliver this with speed. So how to increase customer satisfaction through digitalization. And a little bit to the left, standing with the customer has an idea, and to how to translate this in the whole value chain. Very efficient and with the vision of a kind of an unbroken digital chain, and actually to produce the product and deliver it. So in his, you could see here that we actually say step one, we need a configurator to translate. Then we need design automation, because you see the varies a lot. It's like 50, 60, 70 designs every week, maybe 100. And then we said, okay, we need to bring that efficient out to the machines. So here, this is the customer journey we are doing right now. So if I'm then in Regensburg with BMW 3 Series in Germany, or in Spartanburg, United States at BMW there for the X3, the customer talking to us, I'm the salesperson, I open my laptop, I'm in Cloud for Customer. I say, oh, we're gonna find this needle in the haystack. Let's go and look. So then you go into Tacton, and now Tacton is connected to Windchill into our product data management. And you want a 10 millimeter long socket, right? You saw 10 mil. And then you look, what do we have? What do we have? Here we can see the standards, but also some of the specials we already did in the past. Well, we got 8, 12, and 14. If you're okay with 8 or 12, we can go with the standard. So then you can see up to the right, it's existing. We have it stocked. We can ship it the same day if you put in the order before 4:00 p.m. We ship and pack same day. However, you say, sorry, I really need the 10 mil. Whoa, all right, so let's see what we do then. Then we have paradigmized our CAD drawings. So we pull this data in, and we actually do the design in the computer. And so we then create the 3D CAD models with step files, so you can actually send that to the customer. With this step file, they can do 3D printing, plastic in this case, just to see that it fits. We get the okay, and then we bring it to production automation. So we have implemented CAD/CAM systems that we then take the information digitally out to the CNC machines. A year ago, we brought our salespeople, business lines manager together, and we had like a dry run of these. So you can see then, being the customer, you see our design manager down here, also appeared in the movie, actually asking, what do you need? Okay, I need this square drive, 1/2 inch, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're going to have a Torx in here, you know, and these millimeters, and then coming up with 3 alternatives. And then, of course, we said, no, let's go with the specials. And then then we start the design automation. And then we start like this. And then you're very curious if it's gonna work, and it worked. So then we actually designed the socket digitally with 2D files, 3D step files. You know, you can tweak it all around and see if it works. We then took it over to the machines and actually simulated how you're actually gonna machine it. That generated the G code for this machine. It's a Mazak machine. You got it out, put in a metal piece, hit enter, and off you go. And it was machined and it came out. And as you can see, happy faces from Ilona Fischer, very happy. You see Buffalo from China, very happy. And we say, sell more. So now, let's say 1.5 years into this project, and we're not finished yet, not at all. What did we do and what have we accomplished? So what we do, I would emphasize that we created an agile organization. So we put everything under one roof. So we took marketing, customer support, the people talking to the customer centers, design engineers, manufacturing engineers, production, all we put in the same building and also working with the same vision. Then, as explained, we acquired the Tacton Configurator, not only for this assortment, but very much supporting here. We did the integration that I talked about. For this product assortment, we have implemented at our 9 biggest customer centers where I have the most of the sales. And this is the curve, how they have used the configurator during the last 12 months. And within 6 months, we will increase with additional 9 customer centers. And we have standardized. We have worked a lot with standardization. And we also have implemented robot process automation, RPA, which is very important for the digital transformation. So instead of doing manual work, updating here, you go here, you update there, you actually have a robot doing it digitally. And we created the smart CAD files. So out of the product catalog today, if you look at the product catalog today, 75% what's in there, if you look in there, we can do a design automation. So we can adjust those products digitally. And then we bring it out to the CNC machines. So what have we then accomplished? Well, I said sell more. And before COVID-19, this product assortment, we had a global growth of 17%, rolling 12. Of course, we were hit with COVID-19, factories closed, etc., no manufacturing. But if you look now in October, looking back 12 months, we're still in a growth mode. And if we look, okay, so what have we accomplished when it comes to other KPIs, like lead time? Well, we have reduced the lead time. For the last 12 months, we have reduced it with 25%. And how do we deliver on that promise? Well, with a longer lead time, a year ago, 61% of the cases we were on time. Now, we reduce the lead time with 25%, and we deliver on 93% out of the cases. For the quotation, time reduction with 25%. Also, when it comes to the admin, for the data handling, for pricing, 30% for the quotes. Efficient with the design. So today, a designer can design 2.8 drawings a day, and before it was 1.8. And we have only 5 months in. So we see actually we will increase that improvement. And also with the administration, with the robot process automation, we have implemented 2 robots of updating master data, SAP, etc. And together, the value is 1,000 hours. So 1,000 hours of work we actually have digitalized. Used to be a person, 1,000 hours a year that we now have with robot process automation. And then when it comes to product preparation, to prepare this production, 50% reduction. And then the setup time, you know, when you open up the machine and you're going to fix and tricks before you can start, we have reduced that with 50%. And that's a very important component for us. That now, instead of setting up the machine, you can run the machine. And there we saved 18%. So let's say 20%. That's 1 day out of the week. So you can say we run Fridays for free. And all these improvements, we actually contributed to the margin of this business with 10% so far. So we improved the margin with 10%. And in this case, we could say that the Tacton configurator was the enabler that we put in the first, and then we have built everything around it. What's next? Well, the next step is for us to take the step even further to our customers. So in cooperation here with Intershop, we are now building, you could say, a first example of mirroring our configurator to customers. And we go with piloting with machine tool builders in Germany, where then they actually can start the journey themselves. So this is the next step, and we're trying that out. And now, summary. This was what I was supposed to talk about, and I hope I covered most of it. And this is the end of the presentation. So thank you very much, and ready for questions.
Perfect. Thank you for the great presentation. We did get a couple of questions that came in. So we'll start with this one. So your proof of concept is successful. What was your feedback on the actual project? And what are the challenges that face implementing the real project and the maintenance? So there's a couple questions there, so I can repeat them if you need. So why don't we start with what's the feedback on the actual project?
Well, the feedback is that we would like to prove the concept that we got efficiency out of the configurator, that we really could prove that we got efficiency in the quoting process. And also for us that we could do this variant creation, that we could actually integrate it with our other, let's say, the ecosystem, the IT ecosystem. And also proof of concept. This is a software as a service, a SaaS solution. So when we do the design, you actually have what you say, svarstider, the answering time, response time within, let's say, the window, right? And also on a global basis with servers all over the world, that we got the same user experience on all the continents. That was important because our customer center is going to sit out there and work with this as a SaaS solution. So to actually verify that it's within the limits.
Very good. And then what were the challenges that you faced implementing the project, and how's the maintenance handled?
Yeah, of course, the challenges, this was kind of totally new thing to get the attention, to do the hard work. But I think we were very excited and very good people working with this project and also coming on board on this project. Yeah, the challenge was, of course, also for us internally, big company, to do the integrations. We actually have to rely on different business partners internally to get the different platforms integrated. So that was a challenge for sure, and maybe took a little bit longer time than we expected in the first time. And the maintenance, I would say, we're right now in the middle of it to think about the different configuration models. So if I take this socket, this kind of easy. Oh, this is better here. This socket, we have a configurator. Now we put this part of it into another configurator. So now this, let's say, cross references and to keep the master data. So when I do an update, I actually update in all the different configuration models to really think through the architecture and not just go ahead and say, okay, now we saved a lot, but really think about how you put it into place and how you do this so you actually get an efficient maintenance of it. And as said, we kind of early days. We have not been running this for so very long. So we are learning. We're on the learning curve, I would say here.
Excellent. And then I have a follow-up question too that came in. What business system specifically have you integrated CPQ into?
Cloud for Customers. That is an SAP. We have in Windchill that we have our product data management, and that also we have Creo. Then we have used robot process automation to do the SAP where we have our master data in our warehouse, etc. That could be an integration coming in the future. Right now we utilize the RPAs, the robot process automation, and it's also to see that this all works, etc. But I foresee that would be a next integration with our SAP, not the Sales Cloud for Customers, but the SAP that we have in our production, in our warehouse, etc. For the master.
So I have a couple. I have a lot of questions in here, but I think there's a few we can answer quick. Let's go with, how big was your CPQ team and how many modelers did you have?
We only have one modeler. We wish we had more. The team. I think 5-6 people, and then you have people, back and forth that we actually took on the project. But the core team was very small, so we had to bring on board people from the business. Of course, for the design automation, we need to have engineers, designers, etc.
And then, is there a what was the? This is a little bit of a. What was the main reason that drove you and Atlas Copco to invest in CPQ? Like, at what point did you realize that was what you needed?
Well, actually, it was the project with the attachment, where it's not a product. It is very project driven. So when we brought that on board, the combinations is immense. So you could say that's a trigger. That was a true trigger. And also then viewing, in combination viewing, okay, so here we have a need. If we don't have it, we will not be able to sell that assortment that we started out. And viewing that and looking that in combination with where are we going with software, hardware, feature selling, that was the tipping point. And that was 2018.
Very cool. All right, great. So there's a couple other questions, and we'll be sure to follow up with folks that need to get answers to those. But again, thank you for such a great presentation. We've actually gotten a lot of feedback in our chat here about how good of a presentation that was. So thank you very much for taking the time to share your experiences with us today.
All righty.
All right, excellent.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. All right. I believe now everybody's going to get the opportunity to hear from me a little bit, and then our partner here with Intershop from Mauro. So we're going to talk a little bit today about why you should embrace this change that's happening and not be scared of it, and how we can do that, and a little bit about how you can integrate your systems to deliver throughout the moment that the customer interacts with you, all the way through the product lifecycle. Let me just make sure I have control here of this. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about embracing the customer revolution and what that looks like for all of us in the room here today. And first, I want to introduce us. So you have me and Mauro here from Intershop.
Hi.
And Mauro can say hello. We're going to talk again about what it looks like when you take the entire product lifecycle and you support the customer and enable them throughout that entire lifecycle. So really what we're looking at here is I want to talk about what I've been seeing, what I've been hearing when I talk to customers. And we heard a little bit from Bo earlier today about what he's been hearing. And it's very similar when I talk to customers. And we're in a very unique sort of disruptive time right now. And there's been a shift in the industry of manufacturing to move to a more digital focused area or an online business model. And the current situation has really created an environment where you don't have much of a choice if you want to survive and you want to meet the moment. And I see a huge acceleration that started earlier this year as travel halted and our business was conducted more and more virtually online through video calls, through online research, through integrating with multiple different types of channels. And it's created this environment where you don't really have much of a choice. If you don't move online and you don't create sort of this customer-driven experience, you're going to have a really hard time competing with the competitors that do. And all of these concerns and curiosities about how to meet this moment have continued to be validated in more and more customers that I speak with. Instead of taking measured steps towards a digital self-service or an e-commerce experience, I think that our customers need to act fast, because when you talk to them, that's what they're thinking about, and they're struggling to figure out what the next move is and how do I be disruptive and how do I stay competitive. And I can say this without any uncertainty whatsoever, that every customer that I've talked to since April needs to understand how to empower their customers and what that experience can look like for them and how they can embrace this challenge. And if you want to embrace this challenge, you need to make key investments and you need to make industry disruptive sort of moves and make that technology so that you meet the needs of your customers today, and then you're also prepared yourself for future growth. So we know that the manufacturing journey is very complex. It's difficult to get close to your customers. The buying process for them can be high touch, very complex, involves a lot of manual processes, a lot of manual handovers, and then you partner that with a partner selling or a distribution network, and you're even further removed from your customer. And so when you start with this, you have to look at the entire buying journey and determine, how do I reach my customers and be relevant in each of these areas? Starting with search, the vast majority of purchases, whether it's in our B2C daily lives or whether it's in our B2B business lives, they all start online. And you have to have a disruptive presence online and engage your customers in a meaningful way if you're going to stay relevant. But for manufacturers in this room, a lot of us sometimes wonder, well, what does that look like? And I can tell you that it takes more than relevant content. It takes more than product information to be relevant to your customers. if a buyer doesn't get any type of B2C experience when they're interacting with you, they're probably going to go to a competitor that does give them that type of experience, because that's what they're accustomed to in their day-to-day life, when they're making purchases in their personal life, and when they're engaging even in their business life and other aspects. So when you're selling highly customized products and you need to do it online, it can be overwhelming to understand how to give that type of experience. But when you incorporate tools like real-time 3D visualization, augmented virtual reality, tools like guided selling, which we heard Leenert talk about earlier, you can empower anyone to build customizable products without any type of technical knowledge. And it can create a differentiated experience from the first interaction when the customer comes to your website for the first time. And then once they're searching and you've been relevant there, how do you make it easier for them to buy? We know that everybody's expecting a B2C-like experience where it's easy to buy, it's easy to interact across channels, whether that be online, direct sales, partner sales, or other. And the buyer's ready to engage. You have to be able to give them an experience that is seamless across these channels. That means you have to extend tools online through your website with self-service. You have to empower your partners to do it because they may not be able to incorporate these tools themselves. And then the biggest barrier for success is that high-touch, complicated buying process that we all know is traditionally the case with our types of customers. And so it's really important that leaders in this space make it easy for their customers to buy across channels, so that whether they're engaging with a partner, whether they're engaging directly or engaging in a digital commerce type of way, it's easy for them to buy and it's very seamless. And then it's also very important to deliver the product once the customer orders it. So I'm sure everybody in this meeting here in this room has had an experience where sales has sold something that's not buildable, or our partners have configured something that isn't actually possible. And you heard Leenert talk again earlier today a little bit about how you have to have specific components that fit specific pieces. And if you're not digitalizing and everybody isn't working off of that same source of truth, you're never going to be able to build the products that your sales and partners and customers are ready to buy. So when you put a single source of truth and data as the red thread through your entire organization, you can ensure that sales is selling a product that can be built, and that your factory or your engineers can design it, and then your factory can actually build it. And that eliminates all of the manual handovers, all of the quote reworks, all of the pricing errors, so on, so that you can build with speed and deliver to your customer what they're looking for. And then ultimately, we live in a service economy, and I think we're all starting to realize that, and you have to be prepared throughout your entire ecosystem, whether from yourself directly, online, or through partners, to deliver service throughout its entire life cycle, because that's going to help you build brand loyalty and ensure that when it's time to purchase a new machine, that they're going to come to you again because they've had that great service throughout the life cycle of the product. And all of your systems have a wealth of data that can be predictive in the maintenance that you provide. And the offerings with smart services that you can use that are data driven. So you're not giving your customer a blank slate to try and figure out what they need. You're actually almost able to provide that to them in real time through using data and analytics. And if you drop the ball here, you're really at risk to lose loyalty to your customers. And if your competition is servicing their products better, you're more than likely going to lose a lot of brand loyalty and ultimately not get that reorder. So customer centricity is important to look at and not really think of it in a front office kind of way, but that is important. So maybe you're wondering, how do you connect all these processes? And it's important that everyone in the organization understands their role in customer experience. In all of these cases, it might require a shift in culture or the way that everybody thinks or the way that people work in their day-to-day lives. But if you're going to make a digitalization project meaningful, you have to ensure that everybody understands throughout the entire company what their role is in the customer experience. So you have to think beyond simple front office management, and you have to think about how it works throughout your entire organization. So think of it like this. You have sales and marketing, which is the front-facing offices of your customer. That, again, can be online, partner, your direct sales channel, or any other way that customers can purchase your products. And then you have engineering, and they're the middle that has to deliver what marketing and sales sells to your customer. They have to be able to build that product and service that product through components. And then you also have the back office, which is very important because they have to leverage the investments that they've been making to digitalize their production processes and build that design into a product that's deliverable to the customer. And when you find a way to connect all of these areas, you're going to get data, you're going to get collaboration, you're going to get new ways of working that not only improve your internal processes, but they also improve your customer experience from the moment they interact with you about a product all the way through the delivery and service of the product. And that's giving you a real buyer-driven experience where the customer knows what they're getting and knows what their product is throughout the entire process. And connecting all of these systems is necessary to truly build a customer-centric experience and to have those data-driven decisions that are positioning your organization for sustainability now and then growth as you continue in the future and things sort of settle down and get back to normal. So we've had questions already about this, so I think this is a great moment to talk about how you have to integrate your systems to be data-driven. So we talked about the front, the middle, and the back office already, but integrating systems is required if you want to give a data-driven customer experience. So there's a lot of challenges that everybody in this room is facing. We have silos in each of these organizations, and then probably silos within silos. I'm in marketing with sales, and you know, there's always sort of silos there. I think we can all probably relate to that. But sales and marketing are ultimately using these different softwares to engage their customers, to manage their relationship, to ensure that they're acquiring relevant data to be where their customers are. And then engineering is also using tools, and they're using tools to help manage the product data, technical drawings with CAD, and proper management to have the product throughout its entire life cycle. And then, of course, the factory is making their key investments in supply chain, execution, efficiency, and building products. And we're all making these investments to try and transform our processes, but there's an abundance of data in all of these areas. And if you don't connect all of these systems, you will continue to be disconnected in all of these departments. You'll have silos within silos. You won't have a single source of truth. And that's where CPQ comes in, because CPQ allows anybody to configure, price, and quote these customized products that all of you are selling. And I can tell you there is no way to sell highly customized products across your channels without a CPQ in place, because otherwise you're always going to have someone working on a different set of data, whether it be sales and marketing, whether it be engineering, or whether it be factory. So we all know selling these customized products is essential to your business model, and without a CPQ, you'll never connect that process from the moment that the customer interacts with you all the way through the product life cycle. So when you put CPQ in the center of your sales, engineering, and factory processes, you will be able to sell, engineer, and build products in a fast, efficient way that you probably are not going to be able to do in any other way. So what I'm going to do right now is walk you through what a best-in-class customer buying experience can look like when all systems are properly integrated and customer self-service is enabled for the customer. On a super delay here. Give me 1 second to see if this is working up. There we go. Okay, so when you initially interact with a customer and they're researching online, you can use things like visual configuration embedded into your website to give your customer the ability to interact with the product online initially. And with tools like guided selling, anybody can configure these highly complex products because you're basically giving them all of the tools that you have and all of the knowledge that you have and all the expertise that you have, and you're giving that to the customer to engage with online or for your sales team to engage with, all by asking needs-based questions. So what is the problem I'm actually trying to solve? And when you incorporate a CPQ, you can give that power to anybody and they don't have to have any expertise. And then you can use the analytics that are acquired, not just from your CPQ, but from all of your systems that allow you to make recommendations from a perspective of what are the best components, what are the spare parts that are usually needed, what are the services that are included in this. And that gives you a great leg up on your customer because, as Leonard said earlier, too, you can then proactively help your customers solving their problems. And then you can use self-service as a customer to make any types of adjustments that you need and ultimately hit the request a quote all on your website. And then that can come through to you so that you're able to see a fully priced and quoted solution, bill of materials, and that updates systematically through your entire tech stack so that engineering is seeing a product that's buildable and the factory can ultimately see a product that's buildable as well. And then once that quote is finalized, the customer can begin negotiations and you guys can have great conversations about pricing and make any final tweaks that are needed as other stakeholders get involved. And then once negotiations are finalized between you and the customer, it's very easy for the customer to go ahead and purchase this product online based on the agreed quote, or if you prefer to do that in an invoice type of way, you can stop the process at that point as well and do the rest manually. And then ultimately, what you want is an ability for the customer to manage the product throughout its life cycle through a customer self-service online type of portal. And that's where I think that this is a great opportunity to hand it off to Mauro, where he can talk to you about what that experience looks like when you're managing the product throughout its entire life cycle.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so as Nick said correctly, this is it was a very nice journey to sell products, but the relationship with your customer doesn't end at the moment of the sale. It just starts there. And it's very important to focus on what happens after the machine leaves your factory, are delivered, and we start working and they doing their job. What is the experience of your final user? So we will focus on that, how the experience with the machine is perceived and what problems comes for the actual customer, for the end user. What is an approach that companies and manufacturers can use to improve or take care of all this journey. And we have an example of a solution of those problems. So let's take an example. We take this person here is Bruce Digger. Bruce Digger works for a Sky Builder company, that's probably one of your customers. He uses machines that have been purchased maybe through a configurator. And its goal, its daily task is to make sure that those machines operate correctly and all the work is proceeding as smooth as smooth as possible. And that's exactly his daily concern. This person needs different type of services and products to make sure that he's able to do his work. So Bruce needs, of course, plants and machinery to produce, to build. But related to that, he needs consumables, so parts that need to be constantly provided to make this machine work. And it needs wear and spare parts because those machines, of course, will tear down and will need maintenance. And Bruce needs services, needs people that can come and help him in servicing those machines and make sure that they are that they operate correctly. So let's say one day Bruce is working and the machine stops because there is a problem. And at this moment, Bruce is responsible to make sure to fix the trouble as fast as possible. And here starts the first challenges. We often used to think that price is one of the key factors for selecting services or components for the machine, but that's not correct. The most important factor for most of the end users is time, because every moment the machine is down, the line does not produce, the work doesn't go on. and the customer is paying the price of the downtime of the machines. So the first important thing, or for Bruce at least, is to solve the problem in the quickest way as possible. And in second place, of course, come price, and then of course comes quality. But again, price and quality without time may be useless. And here there is already a first challenge that the end users actually has to deal with every day. The possible ways to connect manufacturers and the end user are so many and so different. You can go through distributors, you can go to retailers and dealers and buy the parts or the service there. You can buy it at service partners. You can contact directly the manufacturer, or you can go through other chain about wholesales or network digital, pure digital players, or even purchase the component on a marketplace. So already in the moment something breaks down, there is already a challenge for Bruce to understand what is the best way to tackle this problem. Who should I call? And then again, even assuming that you identify the right party to contact, you have so many different touch points. You have the sales guy that probably should sell you the new part, but you maybe should ring the customer service first, and then you need to book a technician, or maybe you are able to look at documentation via digital format or even virtual reality, but that doesn't prevent to have the problem to understand what is the right person to contact at the beginning. Where should I start? Because usually those departments have different silos, as Nick was telling, into the manufacturing companies, and have different touch points, different phone numbers, different web application, and so on. And at the same time, the customer has this complexity on the other side, on his internal side. When the piece of the machine is broken, he has to notify and to work with the plant manager. He needs to have someone approving the expenses. He needs to dialogue with the machine operator to understand what is actually wrong and what piece has to be changed. He has to interact with the technician coming for the service, and all this has a very high coordination and approval effort. And this is all time that Bruce is spending at the machine, at the telephone or the PC, probably in a construction site. It's not a convenient place. So you understand how complicated the daily life can be. So in order to gain the loyalty of Bruce Digger, the only way to do it is actually to work on a customer experience, make things easy for him. The more easy is to access a service or a product, the more probable is that the user will be keen to use that. So, and if we look at the wheel of the 4 different phases that Nick were talking about, we need to provide many different functions, provide recommendation and inspiration and consultancy at the moment the Bruce is looking for products or services. It needs to be clear with what are the unique selling points and the best points compared to competitor. It needs to be able to quickly understand what is possible to order and not, what feature do I have. And once I'm decided to buy, then I need to have transparency on why the cost is this one, why the price contains these voices, why it's not the cheapest on the market maybe, but I will have a clear idea of what I'm buying, and I will buying it in the quickest way as possible. And at the same time, when I deliver this one, we need to make sure to think again for what makes the life easy for Bruce Digger. So maybe we can even adapt the operational model. We can work on rental, we can work on subscription, we can work on many different new business model. And we need to expand the service business. So it's not just here is the spare part, but come and add and provide added value that probably you cannot buy on a spare part marketplace in China, but you need to provide other value with services, integrate the maintenance, and that will actually translate into a better cross-department sell. That means that you are not selling, you won't have a silo selling the machine, another silo selling the spare part, and the technicians and the service trying to fit in between, but it comes as a natural evolution. So along the way of the machine, along the lifetime of the machine and of the customer, you sell integrated, and that of course leads to a virtuous cycle where a better experience lead of course to a better machine, an upsell or reorder, and how to fidelity to the brand. So what is the way to reach that? What is the way to that? There are actually 4 classical steps that every company, every manufacturer use to communicate online. The first step is reactive, and it's the information portal. That means institutional website with information, and if you need something, please contact our sales department. This is the reactive part. The proactive part is where you provide ordering capabilities. And so you say, okay, these are the products you can buy online. But that's not the end of the journey. This is actually the minimum necessary to provide a decent service, because the next step are even more important, and is where you are able as a manufacturer to communicate your added value. The third step is personally proactive. And that means that you have information and ordering, but you have service portal. That means that you are selling services and parts and consumables that are targeted for that specific customer. You don't present the whole catalog, 500, 700 pages as it was one time, but you present information relevant for the customer, for each specific customer. And the next and final step is to be individually and predictive. That means providing offers and services even before the customer knows that they need it. How is this possible? Let's see. So one solution where we believe a lot is the customer portal. And the customer portal is a way to combine all those different type of portal in one unique touch point for the customer. So in this example, Bruce Digger, and note, not SkyBuilder company as a whole, but Bruce Digger, this specific person, machine operator, can have different sources of information and services from your company. You can have his personalized contact, his salespeople, technician. It can have a lot of information about what is going on, so how the product works, not only, but here are your contact. Your contract is about to expire. You have a new offer that someone has replied to. You are a new machine being delivered, and those are the machine that you own. And this is how they are going. We'll look in the next slide. The ordering portal adds to that all that is needed for Bruce to order, not again generically, but specific for him. So you have preferred assortment, you have order template, you have spare parts catalog decided for the machines that you're working on, and you can maintain the budgets and the cost center for his organization and product. And in the same context, in the very same context, service portal, where you can provide training, maintenance, and all kind of service that you need. So Bruce Digger will have one single point of access to interact with all the touch point of your company. And if we look if we go in depth and we select one machine through the technology that is very available today, then you can see the status of the machine in real time, maybe in fetching IoT. Today, a lot of manufacturers produce IoT data. They have app where you can monitor, but very few are converting these values, those information into money. And in this way, in a customer portal, the status of the machine can be used to sell more, because you can show different parts that can improve the performance. You can sell consumables because maybe the levels of some consumables are down, and so on. If you integrate the installed base and the configuration of a machine and the bill of material, then you can even buy spare parts, and you can use predictive maintenance intervals. That means that, okay, this specific component usually wears down. It needs to be changed one per year or twice per month, and I already prepare for you the offer and the possibility to purchase that part. And in the very same content, maybe you can access training, maybe insurance, repair, maintenance, all the kind of service that you can think of, that the organization can provide, and book them directly online. Do you understand the capability of having all this integrated into one portal? But that is the step number 3. We still have the step number 4, where you use the data that you collect to solve problems before they happen. As Nick was saying before, data lives in different silos, and you need a system to integrate that. A customer portal is a perfect way to collect any kind of data and to make it work in conjunction with the CPQ. But then what can you use this data for? Why, instead of working only responsive or reactive, you don't work predictive? So by collecting data, and you can use intelligent, you can provide intelligent services that both helps your supply chain and helps the life of the customer. So let's say an example on the left, you can see an example for automatic reordering. The machine signals that the oil level is low, and different things happen. The portal informs the machine operator. The machine creates an automatic order to refill in the online shop. So when the machine operator receives the warning, he already has the button to order more of this consumable. And you will already know. So look, if you continue using this machine with this pace, in a week, you will need to change this. You will go down with oil. Here is the buttons, the buttons that you can order a new oil coming next week to you. And the same thing happens for predictive maintenance, where you have through data analysis, you can say, look, according to the signal and what is happening, I can understand that this part will break down, or is breaking down, or has going under a certain level of efficiency. So we produce an offer for you already. It will break down in a month. Here is the technician. It will be available the 2nd of the month at 3 o'clock. And this is the guy to call, and the machine operator can see that and just work order in advance, so to make sure that the machine will keep being operational. And this is an added value for him and for you, because he will not have downtimes, keep producing, and at the same time you can plan your stock and provide a unique service that other partner cannot provide. So
great.
This is the other part of the journey after the purchase. Nick, is up to you.
Yeah. So now that we see how you have to support the customer through the product life cycle, we do have a couple questions that came in. So the first one I think I can take. Can you explain more about what guided selling does? And yes, I can. Guided selling, it kind of simplifies and automates the process for a customer or a seller just by asking questions based on what their needs are. So it takes all of that knowledge that your engineering team has and that you've acquired over the years of technical building of products, and it converts it into a simplified questions that a customer or buyers can ask that help choose the product that fulfills their needs and helps guide them to purchasing exactly what they're looking for. And also, ultimately, it helps you protect prices, margins, and stuff as well, because you can actually give the customer a guided experience that helps deliver what they need, but also what is buildable and profitable for you. There's a couple more that came in here. This one I'll let Mauro take. How many months does it take for implementing a customer portal? Or how long does it take?
Yeah, customer portal is never finished. That's the point. The important thing is to set up the architecture in a way that you can include services, experiments, and keep it alive and working. So from the street, in order to provide a level 2 customer portal, like a personalized shopping experience, we have cases where it's just a few weeks. It just depends on the availability of on how the information are available within your organization. The rest, so the predictive and the smart customer portal, again, usually the limitation is more due to the architecture and infrastructure of the information in your company. So technically speaking, it's not rocket science. You don't need to develop everything at once. So you can start by booking one specific service, by providing this IoT for one specific machine. You don't need to do everything at once, but you need to learn by doing, because there's no other manufacturer exactly like you, and it's important to understand what is unique for you. Try, experiment, roll out, and when you find the right thing, then you can scale maybe to all markets or to all the product lines and so on. So I know it's not an answer, but the basics is just few, let's say, months, not a year, but way less. But then it has to be a constant journey by listening to the customer, reacting what happens to the market, and from the lessons that you learn. The more data you collect, the more you learn, and the more you find things to do.
Great. I have one more that I think I can answer quickly before we move on. From your experience, what number of manufacturers are looking to offer self-service integrated with CPQ? And from my perspective, it's virtually 100%. It's customers that we currently have, it's prospects that we're talking to. Everyone's talking about, how do I enable self-service? How do I sell online? How do I move to a digital commerce type of model? And again, it's really accelerated since April, but it's ultimately in every single conversation that we're having now. If it's not initial rollout, it's shortly thereafter. I don't know if you have any insights to add, Mauro, from your customer base.
Oh yeah, it's like that's again the more you are into it, the more you realize how much you miss from the customers and the potentials that you can do. So you can come from different ways. Organize the CPQ first, because you need to reorganize your sales department and then publish it online. You can come from another experience, having the web shop, and try to find a way to bring on it the most relevant part. But I think any manufacturer that has a part of components that is built to order will need to have an online configurator in the next months, years. But it's the only way. I mean, nobody will going to call a sales representative anymore if some competitor has guided selling on the web.
All right. I hope that everyone enjoyed their little break there, but I think we should go ahead and get started. And I'm going to introduce briefly here Alexander van der Weide from nVent, and he's the VP of Marketing Enclosures, and he's going to talk to you today about how nVent approaches their customer experience and their customer journey, and talk to you about how they built out that process. So without further ado, I'll hand that over to Alexander.
Thank you, Nick, for the introduction, and good afternoon to everybody from beautiful Madrid here in Spain. I will be presenting CPQ and how we have integrated it and nVent Hoffmann. As Nick said, I'm the Vice President for Marketing for Enclosures. It's good to say that marketing in nVent is driving all digital systems. That is really including all customer facing, as well as all systems used by marketing and sales. I have worked roughly 5 to 7 years with different CPQ systems, both on-premise solution as well as lately with software as a service. Let me introduce to you nVent, as it is good to have a little bit of background before going into CPQ. We are a public company and we're specialized in electrical and protection solutions. We are divided in 3 divisions, as you can see in the circular diagram. Today, we have in focus enclosures with 46% of revenues, or 1 billion. We are a truly global company with around 80 locations and 9,000 employees. Let me explain a little bit what an enclosure does. It really functions 2 objectives. It keeps humans from electrical contact, and we make sure that the components installed of these enclosures are safe, and thereby we are protecting the lifetime of the electrical components, and we make sure that electrical installations are free from downtime. You might think that enclosures are boring, and I can tell you that's not the case. We are playing in really critical application areas. You can think of hospitals, infrastructural projects, or demanding industries like process industries. And as you can see in this slide, we are serving all kinds of sub-verticals, from automotive to agriculture, petrochemical, water, wastewater, and commercial solutions. We're serving global customers as well as local customers, as you can see in the bottom of the slide. And of course, these customers are looking for premium products, but they also expect us to interact with them professionally and efficiently. So let me start a little bit with a pessimistic view by looking at the past. These were some of the issues that we were facing some time ago. We were suffering from long response times to RFQs. We had difficulty to phase in and out products. We had significant high training costs. We had difficulty understanding the product offering, especially by the global teams. We have customized products that were sometimes difficult to manufacture. Quotes were only focused on technical specification and price. We had quotations with some errors and handover from customer to supply. And we found it quite difficult to scale the tools, not just in our own organization, but also to our manufacturing reps and distributors, so our business partners. So with that in mind, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on customer benefits, but I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I think previous speakers have already addressed this. So I want to go more into the business benefits, but I think it's good to mention that Tacton lives in our customer journey together with other applications, which together make the ecosystem. Tacton lives in a quite, I would say, complex environment. We have around 8,000 items, which we call the base items. This is where we need to get the customers to. And from there, they actually start the configuration. And then you start to combine the 8,000 with another 12,000 options. So already now you're looking at 20,000 items that somehow you need to combine, not even addressing after sales that will include another 20,000 parts. So the main customer benefit is that the customer will not really realize that he lives with that complexity. He will just quickly go to guided selling, and I will talk more about it later, and he will configure, and he will get an instant price in just a matter of minutes. But as said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the customer benefits. I really want to bring you up to speed with the business benefits, because these are the ones that when I started to look at different solutions, this is the part that I found more difficult to get grip of. And that's why I'm sharing it with you today. So on the left hand, you see a navigation. I will address the governance piece. We'll go into the quote accuracy, instant pricing, and top line growth, and I will close with productivity. And I use a very simple slide, basically with some talking points and a takeaway in the bottom. Now, let me start with the first takeaway. I would recommend everyone to really stop policing, but starting to take, control of what your organization is committing to. So with CPQ, we are really controlling what we're phasing in and what we're phasing out. Because we control the product models, that means that globally we control what products we put on high priority and what products we're slowly phasing out. We also have different manufacturing sites in the world, and not every manufacturing site is the same. So we have to make sure that besides all the complexity that I explained in the previous slide, we also have to make sure that the sales organization knows what are the capabilities and limitations of the specific factory. And all of that is basically programmed into our product models. And what we're also doing, and this is interesting, we're also applying an access criteria. We are basically profiling customers in our Salesforce.com, and we're making sure that we go with specific solutions to specific customers. We have complex offerings, and we have to make sure that we're treating certain customers with more advanced solutions from our factories than others. And that's the only way for us to really make it sustainable. So the takeaway really is here, if you control the front end, you start really controlling what you get into the organization. So you start looking in a forward-looking mode rather than looking in your back rear mirror. On the quote accuracy, and I think previous speakers have touched on it, guided selling is really key. So think about this. When a customer is looking at an enclosure and he installs it besides a highway, he has different needs like anti-vandalism or how to manage the climate than if you have an enclosure installed in a safe room, just controlling the comfort of a building. So by asking the right questions, we will quickly get the customer to the base item. And that's what we call the guided selling, going to one base item from the 8,000 items that I spoke about earlier on. And then from there, he starts configuring. And we're using product constraints really to make sure that the selections made are actually feasible. And let me tell you an anecdote. If you have a company with a few people that are knowledgeable and experienced, then the whole organization will typically turn for complex questions to those experts. But that's not a good thing to have. It's much better that you actually make information available to everyone in the organization so that everyone really becomes the expert. So if you're really good at guided selling and you're really good at managing your product constraints, your whole organization will become an expert. And I think Leonard was also talking to that point earlier on in today's seminar. Then finally, also branding and language. We have to understand that if you live in an organization with 9,000 people, that you can't control all, logos, the way you talk and the tone of voice and all the languages. We have over 15, I believe we have now 18 languages that we have to make sure that we control and that we do it professionally in terms of grammar and spelling. So CPQ accuracy will also, let's say, be boosted by simply controlling those branding and language complexity. On instant pricing, I think most people would recognize that if you actually quote and then you take on the order, that you might have differences between your quoted price and your transactional price. So Tacton was really strong in integration with our EEP system. So we're actually not replicating our, what I call the price engine with an EEP inside our CPQ solution, but we're doing it through integration with APIs. Now, within Tacton, we also use the price engine, and that is a powerful one. As I said, I've worked with different CPQs, and some of them, they were really slow by combining an engine that does all the products, but also the price engine. And we use it for customization. So inside CPQ, we make cost calculations and pricing for customizations that we cannot predict in advance. And the outcome is fed back through integration into our EP system. Interesting for business leaders in this call is that when you have a differentiated offering, how do you make sure that you also get a premium for it? I mean, if you help customers to save money, then some of it should also flow into our own bottom line in order to finance all these great investments that customers will benefit from. So what we actually do is that some of these differentiated offerings, for instance, if a customer says, I want it tomorrow and the normal lead time is 30 days, we offer that solution, but we will charge for it. And we control it through our CPQ tools. And that is what I mean with value stream versus value added. I think there are lots of salespeople and business leaders talking about value-added selling, but at the end they don't get paid for it. And that for me is value stream. So instant pricing has really given us consistency in quoting and order entry, but also at better margins. On top line growth, I would say, and this is the piece where I was very convinced about the solution that we have selected, is that we can actually make this huge investment that we're doing in terms of time that we're also spending on this to our channel partners. We don't go direct to the market. We work with our distribution partner and manufacturing reps. So the question is, how do we make sure we put the tools that we have developed into the hands of those distribution partners? And that's what we call syndicate to channel. We also allow the distributors then to control their own look and feel and their own pricing model. So we are syndicating to them the tool and the product models, but giving them the liberty to do changes to it. Another thing that I think is very interesting with CPQ is that, and I mentioned it as an issue earlier, that we're just doing tech and pricing. We're also, based on the profiling we've done, we're actually showing a comparison of our price to the total cost of ownership of a customer. So if a customer would have to pay maybe $1,000 to get the job done with his own capabilities, but we could deliver it for $700, we actually show him the difference. And we do that in the CPQ combined with how we profiled it in our Salesforce.com. And as I said, we're putting the tools in the hands of our distribution partners and our manufacturing reps, but that allows us to really, you could say control, but it has a little bit of a negative load. But a more positive way of addressing it is that we really get close to customers. And because we put the tools in their hands, we actually control what they're seeing, how we convey the message, and we make them part of the customer journey. We believe that these tools will really help customers to improve their bottom line. And then a little bit more on productivity. So we have chosen to work with product models that are global, but the way that we deploy them into the regions, for instance, in China or in North America or in South America or in Europe, is that we can actually switch off certain things or switch on certain things. So we can actually regionalize our global product models. What we also have done with this instant pricing in terms of productivity is that we do not need to control prices anymore because we simply have automated all the programmable and routine tasks. So we have become much more productive. And again, I think one of the speakers said that the quote time reduced from 4 or 5 days to around 1 day. We have seen that as well, and makes us much faster, and that's a good thing. Now, the backend integration is something that we have also done within our company. We have done it through a different tool. We're now looking at actually bringing some of that back into CPQ. But I would basically share with you that I think it's really important to control your front end, because if you control the front end, you can really make the back end smooth and fast, and you avoid, I would say, an automated chaos. So it's really important to control your front end. So what you see here is basically a wrap up of the current situation. So I started with a pessimistic view, and I like to end with a really positive view. We have really good model configurations, and it supports our growth through centralized product models. We have pricing in place that is fully automated with faster response times and with less manual interventions, or I would almost say with no manual interventions. On the quotation side, we have really increased productivity and we avoid human error. We rework, we have no rework because of that. We have strong guided selling. And on 5, because I would like to end with 4, we have really enabled sales and our top line growth. And what I haven't mentioned in the presentation is 4. We have moved now to software as a service, and that really has given us also simplicity in use of commercial cloud-based tools with lower internal IT costs. So with that, I would love to get your questions and go into a bit more depth.
That's great. Thank you, Alexander. I do have a couple questions here. One of them is, how do you manage 15 languages in your CPQ administration?
Yeah, so basically what we have is that you select a language, or basically the customer is connected to a language, and within, let's say, how we manage the product models, and in the document generator, we have all those languages available, and that's how we basically do it.
And then another question on that is, how do you do your profiling in Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's something that we're really good at. When we engage with prospects and with customers, we train our Salesforce to ask the right questions, and those questions we're feeding back into Salesforce.com, and those data points are used to create more valuable and more meaningful interaction with our customers, and that allows us, for instance, to do things in quotations that I think many companies don't do, like what I mentioned, total cost of ownership.
And then I have another one here. How many internal resources do you have assigned to the product modeling maintenance?
Yeah, so we have one person that is controlling a team of around 4. So we are in total around with 5 people doing all these product models.
Great. Another question I had was, how do you plan to add and remove products to your modeling? I think was the point of that one.
Yeah, if I understand the question right, I mean, for us it is important to have global models, but we also have regional differences. So we basically switch on and off, like see it like ticking boxes, this product is not available or is available, these customization features are supported by the factory or not. That's how we syndicate it to the regions.
And then where do you think you would be without a CPQ from a competitive standpoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, the biggest competitor for Tacton really is Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. I mentioned it many times to Tacton, because at the end, nothing goes faster than an Excel spreadsheet. But from a competitive point of view, yeah, it's great that you can be faster, more accurate, and I believe in that, and I support it. But what really makes a difference is that we're putting the tools in the hands of the customers. So a customer can do whenever he wants his own configuration. He gets an instant price, and we're also allowing our distributors to work with it. So for distributors, we're much more than a manufacturer. We're basically a solution provider for how he goes to market, the digital tools that he could probably not invest in on his own, because he has so many manufacturers to work with. So it gives us definitely a differentiated offering. And I think everyone in this room should really think about it. The positive side of this is that you differentiate, but you can also see it as that the industry is throwing up entry barriers, and you have to make sure you're on the right side of it.
Very good. I have one more here. When you, how many different types of integrations do you have CPQ integrated into?
Yeah, we have quite a few integrations. One that we mentioned was Salesforce.com. One that I mentioned also is our EEP solution. So we have quite a few, unfortunately, in the company. That's what happens when you acquire companies. You also inherit the EEP systems. So EEP, multiple. We also have integration with Swedish software called Novacura, in which we do order enablement, which is something we're bringing forward to CPQ with Tacton. We have integration, of course, with our website. And going forward, we will probably also integrate it with other parts of Salesforce.com, like Service Cloud. It also communicates our portals. Yeah, so it's all over the place, really.
Great. Great. That was great, Alexander. Thank you so much for your time. And if we have any other questions, which I have a few other ones, that we'll get those answers out to you guys. But thank you very much for taking the time. It was a great presentation.
It's a pleasure.
So now we will head on to our last presenter before I handle a little bit of wrap up and an announcement for everyone. So right now I want to introduce Fahad Mahboob from Pelco, and he leads technology and customer engagement at Pelco, and he's going to talk to you about mapping out the customer journey and how that looks at Pelco.
Thank you so much. If you can switch to Pelco slide, thank you. All right. Thank you so much. I'm Fahad Mehboob, and I'm the Technology and Customer Experience Manager at Pelco. Pelco is a Motorola solutions company, and we are basically a video security systems manufacturer. And we have been in the business since 1987, well-known name in our industry. We're in the top 5 in the video security system space. And with a sales team of around 200 people globally, 50% market, 50% of the market for us is US, and the 50% is outside of US. That's our overall spread. My discussion today is about how we looked at our customer journey and try to identify challenges, and then how do we convert those challenges into opportunities. So that's what I'll be talking about, but mostly my focus would be how you can look at that customer journey or your own customer journey and see the challenges and then use them into your into a better customer experience for your team, for your customers. Ralph, can you, if you can switch the slide, please? Thank you. Thank you. So for us, the customer journey mapping exercise basically started with the idea of let's understand where the challenges are. And our focus was how do we improve the overall customer experience for our channel partners? Now, one thing I forgot to mention is our approach, or the way we approach our customers. In the middle, we have our channel partners. So we are talking to our customers directly, but we also have a channel partner network that buys from us, that designs systems, and then installs them in the field for us. So we are not installing the equipment directly, we are working with these channel partners. So it was important for us to understand what is the current state we are in, and then look at where we want to be in our future state. And then the next thing for us would be to look at how do we get there. Next slide, please. So I'll talk about how do we get there as part of the CPQ journey for us as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let's try to understand our customer first. So basically, our customers are looking to protect their facilities. Either these are large buildings, it could be airports, it could be a large facility for them, it could be even a small facility such as a warehouse. But what they're really looking for is a security system, a video security system from where they can monitor and protect their facility. And what that means is you need video security cameras installed somewhere outside along the perimeter inside the building. And that video is then fed into recording servers. So essentially you have cameras that are feeding video to recording servers, and then those are being displayed on a control room. It could be a small control room, it could be a large control room. And so in a nutshell, it's 3 things. If you get those right, basically you have a video security system. So it's cameras, recording, and then display. So that's what our customer is looking for. But let's understand a bit more about our customer. It's not a small customer. It's not a small building. It's not a small house. These are usually large enterprise level customers, which means these are airports. These are traffic city surveillance systems. These are large financial institutes, metro railway systems, or large buildings. And sometimes university campuses spread around a large area. So you can imagine that this 3-set approach of just having cameras, recording, and display gets complicated really quickly when you start looking at larger systems. So if you look at this diagram, multiple things going on here. We have cameras of different types and different shapes. And the reason we have so many of them, because some have short range, some have long range, indoor, outdoor, and so on. At present, Pelco has 90 different camera model numbers, and they keep changing as we bring new models and new technology comes into play. And we also have multiple recording servers or recording types, and the server, the recording requirement changes as you change the number of cameras, and the display changes according to that too. So when our customers are approaching us with a requirement, basically they're saying, okay, this is my building, this is my facility, how can you help protect it using video surveillance? And we add the different devices, and that gives us a quantity on the camera side. But if you change that camera quantity, it has an impact on the recording, and that has an impact on the display. So these are interconnected parts. If I change one, that has an impact on somewhere else. If I upgrade one thing, that may have an impact on something else, on compatibility. Some cameras could be old, some could be new. So my approach or our customer's approach is how can we make this process simple? And that's what we looked at. So for us, when we started looking at the customer journey, it was customers are approaching pretty much just as pretty much every panelist talked about here, is they're exploring who can offer the best solution. So they come to Pelco trying to find out, can we really offer them something unique that fits their requirement? They're looking at technical requirements. They're also looking at, can they talk to an expert who can explain how this large system will come together? And then they're looking for, of course, a fast and precise turnaround on pricing, on a quotation, on technical documentation. And if you're lucky and we do our job right and we are able to close that deal, that leads us, of course, to an order. And after that, the journey continues. We have the delivery process starts. The order processing has to be taken care of. And then another important part is faster deployment. And we looked at this part also specifically. And what we found in our industry and what our customers told us is that the design happens 3, 4 months, 5 months somewhere, sometimes before the actual deployment happens, right? And from that design and what was decided in the design stage does not always translate to deployment. So that was another thing that we said, okay, let's look at that as well. Let's help customers on faster deployment. The next thing is support, and then we also have, of course, software licenses in the solutions we sell. In a large video security system, it's a combination of software and hardware. And of course, at the end of the life of that system, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years down the line, we have to upgrade that hardware as well. So that's the overall journey. And when we talk to our salespeople, and then we talk to our customers, we realize that the biggest challenge, the biggest friction, and thereby most of the challenges were in this space, in the space that product selection is complex and quoting is complex, which means we spend a lot of time doing that activity. And because we have so many iterations of these large systems, we are spending way too much time here, and there is room for improvement. And also there is room for improvement because this type of proposal we send out, it has to be clear and concise enough for our customers on the end customer side who may not be video security experts to understand what we really offer and where do we differentiate ourselves from the competition. So we focused immediately on look at the complex product selection part. How can we improve that? So from customer journey mapping, we realized this is what we need to improve, which is product selection and quoting. And that meant if we do this right, we are able to improve the overall customer experience for our users and channel partners. And we all know what customer experience means. I don't need to tell this audience. We know improving customer experience has, of course, customer loyalty improves. You can charge more, your margins are better. Customers are willing to come to you more than they would go to a competitor just because your offer is better. And like I said earlier, we are operating through a channel partner model. So it's important that we give our channel partners the right tools to make that product selection of a complex system easier for them. And that's where the Tacton story also started. We had invited multiple vendors, like any company, to talk about what they can do for us when it comes to improving the complexity out of product selection and quoting. We settled on CPQ should be our core of our digital journey going forward, our dialogue with our customers. And with Tacton Discovery Session, we basically realized quite quickly, and they gave us the confidence that your complex solution can be simplified just by having a better user experience built into the CPQ by a better solution model. And we know it's going to improve sales velocity. And this in turn is going to help and empower our sales channel, which previously had to rely just on Pelco sales to be able to deliver solutions to their customers. But now we are bringing all that to our channel partners. And that in turn is going to become like a Salesforce multiplier effect for us. So if you look at our structure, Pelco sales is talking to channel partners globally across the world, and the channel partners in turn are talking to customers. So if the channel partner doesn't know how to build a complex solution, how to iterate it faster, they're going to rely on Pelco sales more, which means the load is basically there. So to get more efficiency and get a Salesforce multiplier effect, we need to bring that capability down to the channel partner level. And for us, if we execute all of this right, this is going to turn us, or this is going to give us a strategic advantage. And this is precisely the dialogue we had with our leadership, with our sales teams, where we decided that, yes, this is the solution we should go for, and this should be the center point of where the digital journey for Pelco should continue. So here we are. This is how we started. We looked at the customer journey. We realized improving customer experience is the key. We then started to look at the current state, where we are today, and how do we get to the future state. And we know the future state was going to be a configure price quote or centered around that. And let's look at our current state, where we were when we started this journey. And we started this back in August 2019. And this is what a Pelco salesperson or our channel partner actually goes through. There are 9 steps on the left side. If you want to design a video security system, you have to go through those 9 steps. And there are 6 different portals where you get the information from, or you enter information into Excel or Salesforce. You look at storage estimators and so on. So this journey is quite complex, as you can see. And what this really means is you need sales specialists at every level. So you need an experienced person for almost all major projects. And then if you get new salespeople or channel partners on board, it's going to take a long time before they are proficient. In some cases, it took us a year and a half to get channel partners really experienced with the type of solutions that we were selling. And then those channel partners were always dependent on us, and that was not a good place to be. We want them to be more independent, more empowered. And that meant that on average, a quote would take anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, in some cases days to build if it was a larger one. And on average, we were doing 15 different iterations for large projects. So you can multiply that 2 hours into then 15 for large projects. And that's the amount of time we were spending on just creating the solution. We haven't done any order yet. We're just trying to design a solution, just build a code. So our current state is customer needs are coming to our channel partners. They in turn talk to Pelco sales and system specialists, who usually sales and system specialists work together within Pelco. And then our guys or Pelco team goes and builds this solution, which is all over the place. And in the end, we come up with quickly a solution offer, which is basically just a quote with model numbers on it. So it's not a huge value add right now. It's just a quote. You really need to know our model numbers to understand where the value is in the Pelco offer. So we said, this is not going to work. For sure, we are going to take all this, convert that into CPQ in a single SaaS model where customers or channel partners can go in, log in, build their own solution, and the answer would give us more than what we had before. So now we can provide configurations, a priced offer, detailed documentation, even infographics and calculations of what we just did. And the only thing sales and system specialists now need to do is validate if all of that was correct or not. So there's a collaboration now going on instead of Pelco sales doing all the hard work and channel partners just passing along the customer needs to us. So this was a huge change for us. And it is a huge change for us because we just recently launched this. So this is what CPQ as a force multiplier means to us. I'm giving you screenshots of what the configuration looks like today. Our partners and Pelco sales can basically log into this Tacton built platform, configure a complete system in multiple steps. We have a simpler version. We have a more complex version for larger projects. And then the output of that is a proposal document, which has both product images, it has a bill of material, it has pricing. We can add technical information to it. So detailed calculation, which by regulation, we are required to submit to authorities sometimes and to our customers as well. And that in turn also helps us with additional information because the CPQ has the capability to pull in data from our ERP and from CRM, put it all together. So I'm even able to include shipping information. So it's helping our channel partners in just figuring out how much would be the weight of all this equipment that they're about to buy. We even have HS codes on them so they know what tariff or customs tariff will be applied to them. So we're giving so much information now that we were just not able to do it before. So our journey is continuing right now. We started from the customer journey mapping exercise. We are trying to improve the customer experience through configure price quote. We got 3 things done already, which is pricing, get the right proposal out, get the right technical documentation out. And the next step for us is we are going to build on this and we are going to export the configuration part as well. So in the beginning, I mentioned that there was a big part where customers need faster deployment also. So we are now able to, because we have all the configuration already done in CPQ, we can take that and use that as deployment files outside. We can even use that for digital twins to check whether the configuration is correct, will it work or not, and how well will it perform. We are also building a B2B platform working towards that for both lead generation, and we are going to integrate that with our channel partner portal as well. Already channel partners have access to CPQ, but we are going to build a better one, a better user interface for them. We are looking at adoption by improving training material that we have, also looking at a company called Speckit, which provides adoption tools. Basically, it's a kind of a help function that overlays on top of Tacton, and that can work wonders for adoption for our users. So now the important bit, how can you get here? You saw our customer journey. Your customer journey is going to be different, but how can you get there and learn some of the stuff that we learned in our journey since we started in somewhere August 2019? So we basically said configuration, price and quote, and what do you need to get ready for this is your configuration readiness. And then I'll talk about some other things that you need before you head out on your CPQ journey. And configuration readiness means you need to know what your system constraints are. That is your product and the rules needed for that. Where can you get the calculations? Who owns those calculations? And the drawings you will need to bring into the CPQ. And for that, from early on, we had a system expert on our team, and we had a pre-sales expert on our team as well from the start, from the day we started talking to Tacton, much before we decided we will go with CPQ. And the next thing we did was we had the right platform on board. So after our discussion with multiple vendors who do CPQ, we realized Tacton had the capability, and they showed that in their demo, that very complex solutions such as ours, they will be able to deliver on that. For us, the biggest challenge was how do we maintain this going forward? And we found that the Tacton tools and their deployment engine helps us to do that easily with less manpower, and we were able to do that with Tacton. And the next thing you have to look at is both your data readiness and your process readiness. So make sure you have either team members from ERP and CRM, because both will be needed. You need ERP to get the product information in, pricing in, different warranty, etc., different regional pricing in, currencies in. And CRM, because the proposal documents you're generating, you need to know where they are headed to, the contact name, the information, the account name, and the price levels. And then digital assets, simple things like spec sheets, product images, video, etc. So you need to know where that information is, who owns it, how quickly can you connect to it on the CPQ platform. And then you need a sales operation person. You don't have to have them on the team 100%, but you need to know what your price approval processes are, what tech approvals look like, what should be your quote format in different regions and the different languages, what terms and conditions you need to put in place. So if you have that kind of a team, that is a good starting point. But what I would say the most critical part is make sure you have C-level engagement. You have not only engagement, but buy-in, but also a sponsor who's going to help you guide and get you the resources when you get stuck, which you will get stuck because you have to talk to so many different departments, ERP, CRM, digital assets, and so on. So make sure you have C-level engagement. And because this is a tool for customer engagement, make sure sales leadership is engaged from early on. They see the prototypes, they see your minimum viable product, and they know exactly what you're building. So if you're doing these things right, if you follow this roadmap that we followed as Pelco, and we were able to deliver our project in around 7 to 8 months, you should be able to get to a strategic advantage with just the CPQ tool. Because it's not just CPQ alone, the CPQ is helping you to accomplish a lot more around it, a lot more around customer experience. And you can improve customer experience and convert that into a strategic advantage. So for us, that was the journey, starting from customer experience improvement all the way to implementing CPQ. And we are trying to convert that into a strategic advantage and rolling it out to all our regions and all our partners. So that was it. Thank you so much for listening in. I'll be open to questions now.
That's great. Thank you, Fahad. Great message on your customer journey and how you mapped it. I do have a few good questions for you. How did Pelco map out the process that landed on CPQ, And then how did you, these are two that are very similar, so I'm going to combine them. How did you decide CPQ needed to be the focal point of your digital transformation journey?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, we realized that most of the challenges were coming from the solution building part, which is when a customer comes to us and they say, I need to solve this video security problem, and we have to build those parts. For us, it's cameras, 90 different types, servers, 40 different types, hundreds of software licenses, professional services, etc. So we realized that immediately when we talked to our both our partners and talking to our salespeople, we knew that is the biggest challenge. And if we are able to improve that big challenge, and we realized the only thing that can do that was CPQ. And when we started, we were not looking for CPQ. We were looking at customer experience improvement. That led us to CPQ as the answer. So we were not really looking for CPQ, but it led us to CPQ. And it turns out that that was the right choice.
Very good. Another question here is, you mentioned sales onboarding. How long does it take you now to onboard a new sales rep to be successful?
So on average, it was taking us around 5 to 6 weeks before a salesperson really knew what we had. And it sometimes took them 6 months to really understand our complex solutions. Right now with the CPQ tool, it's basically a couple of days and they're up and running. And it's same with our channel partners now. It's so fast. Now, the other part of that is how long did it take us to train all the salespeople with the new CPQ tool? So that took us around a week and a half, and we made a lot of training videos. We did a lot of webinars, and we are looking at other improvements. So a tool I talked about, Speckit.co, which basically is an overlay which gives you help and videos and small links on how to do this. And we are also looking at our LMS. LMS has been deployed. Speckit is something we are looking at right now, have not deployed.
That's good. I'll segue into this next question about adoption. How did you get your channel partners and internal direct sales teams to use the tool?
Yeah, so the internal teams, that was relatively easy because they quickly saw the value of it because it was saving them so much time. So for them, that was not a problem. Getting the channel partners on board is taking longer for us. And the reason is that they were so used to talking to sales and they were expecting Pelco sales to do that for them. So that's taking much longer for us. Even with that, we launched 100% launch for us, which means 100% quoting happening on CPQ happened on the 1st of October. So we are basically a month and a half into it. We have more channel partners on board than our sales team. So we have 150 sales people and we have 300 plus channel partners online. So in terms of that growth, we are doing quite well, but our target is much higher. Our target is every major channel partner in every geography should be on board and should be using the quoting system, which is CPQ for us now.
What was the no, I asked that one already. How did you get your C-level leadership involved, and how did you determine who your sponsor was?
That's a very good question. So our C-level sponsor was the VP of Product Marketing and Sales. And because he knew product very well, he knew the complexity of the product as well. So when we did the customer experience mapping exercise, we presented that to the VP of Product and Marketing, and he looked at it and he knew immediately that that is a tool that we would all be using. And also it helps in a lot of other things. So things like having different Excel files floating around of the configurator. So our previous panelists talked about that. Our competition is Excel file and Word document. And that's true. People were using their own Excel file in every region. And that it was a mess because the data was not consistent. It's not connected to a central database. So that was one important thing. And then getting the C-level to agree that this is where the money should go was relatively simple after that. We took the customer experience, showed that this is the biggest challenge, and then we said CPQ solves this challenge. And they were on board with it. And we also showed that if we do, for us, the number was we were showing attachment rate, that there were certain products that people were not selling because they couldn't see them. They didn't know about them. And once they are on CPQ, they are visible now. So if I just improve the attachment rate, whatever is the sale is directly linked to what the CPQ was giving us. So that was a clear return on investment for us. And it's proving out to be true right now, even though we are just a month and a half into the project being rolled out.
So this one's an interesting one since you're only a month and a half in, but what do you see as your biggest next steps?
For us, it's going to improve the adoption on the channel partner side. That's number one for us right now. The second one is we are going to build the self-service part as well, and a lead generator will be added on top of it. And then we are going to connect it to order management and other things. In the long term, as a company, we are a digital transformation company right now. We have a C-level directive to improve that. So we have C-level backing on this, and CPQ is the centerpiece of that digital transformation. So this will continue to be part of our long-term journey and our dialogue with our customers.
When you say a lead generator, just as a clarifier, does that mean on your website?
Yes. So right now, this is not on our website. This is limited to channel partners and Pelco only. And that's why the next step is to have this as a lead generator, which means now any customer, so someone who's a security control manager in an airport, can log in and build his or her solution and then send it to us, and we will say, yep, this makes sense, or if you add this, you get better value out of it. That's what we are looking at. That was always the thing we wanted to do. It's just in our project pipeline, it's a bit later.
Very good. That was great, Fahad. That wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing your experiences with Pelco and helping everyone here understand how you mapped out the customer journey.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then before we let everyone go here, I have two announcements for us, and let me see if I have control here. So first, we have a very special customer that we wanted to celebrate today, and they're here with us, and that is Scania, and this is their 10-year anniversary as a Tacton customer. I haven't been here for 10 years, but I can say Scania has been a great customer and is always brought up in conversations, and one that we have held with such pride and accomplishment. So I wanted to thank them for being such a great customer and being an inspiration for us at Tacton. And then also today we have with us Johan Nystrom, who I'm going to hand over so he can say a few words.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it has been fun to work with you, I must say. And 10 years, they pass by really fast. But if you look back, a lot have happened as well. So I will share a few milestones from the journey. 10 years ago, I was project manager for the new configurator project at Scania. And that was all the way from the feasibility study to a worldwide implementation. And in our case, it wasn't easy to replace all those deeply rooted mainframe systems and market-adapted sales tools. And in the same time, we went from 5 different sales tools used at different markets to 1 almost. And of course, it's much better to put effort into one solution, but it requires coordination and compromises, so it was really tough. But somewhere early 2014, we were done with the project. So that was a quite tough journey. But since then, we have launched a public configurator at Scania.com that is more visual and easy to use. With that one, we reach out all the way to the end customers with the configuration. We have also implemented guided offering or guided selling, as you mentioned it. So some of the options in a truck specification, they are recommended based on operational factors, which we can pick up from a previous vehicle if the customer had a Scania truck before. So yeah, we think it's been an exciting 10 years, and I think the next 10 years will be at least as exciting in this area. So I want to thank you for a good cooperation as well.
Thank you very much, and also thank you for joining to celebrate this with us. This is very exciting.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and then I have one more special announcement that I wanted to break here first to the people attending this summit virtually. At Tacton, we pride ourselves in our technology, but also the problems that we help the biggest manufacturers in the world solve. And you heard a lot of those today, from customer journey to customer experience, and really understanding how CPQ can empower your organization and really help you become customer centric. But I'm also going to tell you that not all CPQ systems are the same. And when Gartner released their Magic Quadrant for CPQ in September, they listed Tacton CPQ as the best for complex manufacturing. So what we're deciding to do with that is launch what we're calling a CPQ test drive program, and that's starting today, which means that now through December 31st, we're opening up registration to receive a free working 30-day custom prototype using all of your own product data so that you can really see the value of CPQ in your organization. And we've shown that analysts and customers that we're the best for manufacturing, and now we're going to show everyone that wants to sign up for this program as well. So this is launching today. We're going to drop a link in the chat for everybody here before it goes public. So you can go to this link and then register to set up your own free working 30-day custom prototype CPQ using all of your own product data. So very exciting program for us, and very exciting for you as well. So once we drop that in the chat, be sure to come register. And I want to thank everyone again for joining us today. I want to thank our great panel of speakers, as well as all of our attendees. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. And we will be following up with everyone in case you missed anything, so you'll get access to all the great content we had today. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.